All right, so seen a bit of chat today this morning when I woke up about this article in the Daily Mail, or I assume it was the Sunday Mail, which says that Redbird are considering obviously they did that deal with FSG before, which is indirectly, taking a slice of the action, if you like, or all their franchises, businesses, whatever. Which the suggestion is maybe they'd put $1 billion in that would enable FSG to retain ownership of the club and to finance a rebuild that we keep hearing about, which is that's a short-term thing, isn't it, guys, when you think about it? Anyway, we won't go into that. So my views on this are, it is possible that Redbird are looking at, that possibility, because they're already partners with Fenway, right? They're in that group now. That means they're associates, they're partners, they are friends, they are colleagues, they speak business and they talk about things. So Liverpool Football Club's going to get put up for sale. They're part of FSG, so they're like, right, what's the crack then? What we're doing with this, because we're now part of FSG, so what are you doing with this, right? And then you're going to sit there, aren't you? Just like we do in life, a little bit further down the ladder, when maybe your friend's selling something or a family member or something, and you think about it, don't you? You go, what could I do? Our Sandra's selling that car. Do you think we should get it for, you know what I mean? You think about these things, don't you? So I think it would be safe to say, an assumption, I don't know, because I'm not a Twitter ITK, but they will have looked at that possibility and may be looking at that possibility. However, that article in the Mail that I saw this morning, I think that journalist is clutching. Well, when I say clutching, I mean putting two and two together. Doesn't really know, just a stab in the dark. I'm going to put this out there because it sounds believable and it could actually be happening. So to make those claims isn't like, it's not groundbreaking, and you might get lucky with it. And I'm not basing my opinion on, like, I didn't just read it and go, I actually genuinely do study these things, from the headline to the piece. Often the headline isn't written by the journalist. Some people don't know that. Sometimes, football journalists will go, I'm sorry about the headline, I'm not responsible for that. But, I look at the publication, I look at the journalist, I look at, are there any quotes in such articles? I always say to people that follow my content, when you see an article, try and ignore the image, the photographs, because they can influence your thinking, For example, if there was a headline today saying Klopp silences journalist, and there's a picture of Klopp smiling, around the text, sat at a conference smiling, you'd maybe look at that and think, oh, it must have been like a jokey thing then, it was no big deal. But put a picture of Klopp there angry, and it's like, oh, it must have been. It influences the way you process the written work, right? I just know this. And because I've done it myself. And then what I say to people is, always read quotes, because a journalist can influence you in the sentence or two before the quotes with little words like an angry Klopp said, or a frustrated Klopp said, a bewildered Klopp said. You're planting the seed all the time, so you look for the quotes, and there's no quotes. Now you can get quotes like say like that Melissa Reddy came out with a lot of speculative stuff the other day, and it might say a source close to, or an unnamed source. I don't like that, but sometimes I don't know if you do, but sometimes I can read quotes and I think that particular quote has got the sound of the journalist writing the article. I'm deep, right? That's what she said. And so that you can't prove it, but I think that journalist has just made that up, right? I love doing all this, right? And sometimes you read it and you think that's got no it doesn't really go with the right, that is a genuine source and stuff like that. But in this example, there's nothing like that, all right? So there's nothing there. It's just a journalist saying that Redbird may, or are considering, or they've had talks and all that. Well, I just had talks a minute ago with Sandra about buying that car, didn't I? Would you say that was formal talks, or was that just like, should we buy that car, Sandra? What do you reckon? You know what I mean, right? So I don't believe that article is what I'm trying to say to you. And I would be absolutely devastated if Redbird did do this. And I'm not saying they're not going to do it. How would I possibly know? I don't know. There's no chatter to suggest either way at the moment. I think that this week could be a really interesting week for us. Losing my voice. Terrible chest and throat thing going on. You might not have noticed, but this is another clip stitched onto that video because I ran out of recording space. So I've just had to start recording again. So what I was saying was, I think this week, this is my tip for the week ahead, I think that we're going to see, I don't have to say credible, I think we're going to see some serious writing this week. Like, I'm not talking about speculative headlines in the Daily Star or the Metro or something like that. I think something might come out this week that we will find of interest. Do you know what I mean? Like the Daily Mail article that came out today, for example, you might find that of interest. I don't. I just don't. My personal hunch, and I could be wrong, is I think that journalist is clutching. I don't believe it, even if it happens. I don't believe that specific article. But I think we might see something later in the week, which will make us think a little bit and think, ooh, do you know what I mean? And I will be here on hand to tell you if that happens, obviously. I'm not talking it'll be some, stupid little paragraph in an article somewhere. I just think we might see something this week. I mean, February, is a month that many people are expecting to, see something on the, maybe some credible takeover news. Because of time and, it doesn't matter, I won't go into that, we'll be here forever. I just think in February a lot of people are expecting or hoping to see something like, oh, these are the contenders and these are the people that are really trying to buy the club. That chicken smells lovely. We know there's interest in the club from all over. I can't remember, I think it might have been James Pearce that said there was no serious interest in the club. I don't believe that for a minute. This Qatar stuff we've known about since November. Well, we have on KopTalk, if you're part of that environment, that KopTalk family. The Saudis have been sniffing. The UAE have been interested in Liverpool Football Club for years. It would be very naive, I think, and foolish to suggest that they're not interested just because you're not reading anything about them. You see, when you read about all the Qatar stuff, I think that's because we're reading that because it's not going in Qatar's favour at the moment, and they're wanting that out there. That's what I think all that is about. So the ones that are loud, I think, are losing, and something might give at some point. I think that, as we approach the summer, if Fenway haven't got a minor investment tied up by the summer, they're going to have to possibly sell the entire club. And I still, at the moment, I think that we will sell the whole club, but they will sell the whole club. Can I add this disclaimer? I might have a different opinion tonight because things are changing all the time, and when you hear more and more information, or that someone's veered in a different direction, that obviously influences how you think. And I personally believe, and I can't back this up in any way, shape or form, I personally believe that FSG are willing to sell the entire club, but they have preferences. They want to trade in the US, as we know. They want to continue that because it's good for their future relationships and things. It's not a case of just sell to the highest bidder guys, unless there's a huge difference. But I also think, there's a lot of these other clubs, are up for sale at the moment. So if you're a potential, look at it like this. So there's a car on the street up for sale, BMW down the road, right? And just round the corner there's another car exactly the same, more or less, a little bit of difference here and there, and they're both up for sale. All right, now before I go around and buy one, I'm going to keep an eye on the market. Well, you know, that lad's BMW's been sold around the corner. What did that go for? Oh, really? Oh, well, I'm not giving you that then. Do you know what I mean? So, I think these, you know, interested parties will be watching these other developments, and you know, so that a higher valuation on other clubs, if they do get sold for that, doesn't help, I think. I got message. My daughter's just messaged me on there. So, I think that's it really. So I don't believe the article. I think it's clutching, and we'll just have to continue. Keep your eyes and ears open this week. I think we'll see. When I say see something, you know, like something like on the Athletic or something like that, because the Athletic's pretty good with its reporting. I think depends who it is. You know, maybe Joyce will come out with something. I don't know. I just get that hunch that we're going to see something this week. And we've seen a lot of news, haven't we, and suggestions since the transfer window closed, right? We've seen a lot of suggestions, and I do feel that, you know, I don't want to be too paranoid and too like tinfoil out, but I do feel like some of the things we've seen since the transfer window closed is, you know, like kind of distracting or buying time, you know. And just one final thing, you know. Again, Qatar was mentioned again today in that article. And again, you know, I say this to you guys all the time. Why are we reading that? Who wants you to know that? Does FSG want you to know that? Is the journalist just clutching and just putting that in there? Is Qatar not making progress on that front? And so they want the fans to know. It's maybe a poor example because I don't trust that article full stop. So. But you know my point. Right, guys, I'm going to go. That chicken smells lovely. Do you have a Sunday dinner? Do you do that? Yeah? If you're married, or if you're in a relationship with your partner, whether they're male or female or whatever, whoever does the Sunday dinner at home, do they serve up frozen Yorkshire puddings and frozen roast potatoes and out like that? They do, because if they do, you want to leave that relationship immediately. I would never tolerate that, mate. Whenever I've met a girl in my life, I've always said the first thing I'll say after, you know, like, hello, how are you? I'll go, what are Yorkshires like? And I'll go, it's not a euphemism. And if they go, oh, I do lovely Yorkshires, and I'll go, all right, I'll be the judge of that. Giggle, giggle, giggle. Yeah. If she says, no, Aunt Bessie's ain't got time for that, that's not the kind of woman I want in my life. And before you start, I can make my own Yorkshires, alright, so I don't need a chick to do that for me. I'm just saying, I'm just wondering if you know, what you tolerate in your household. Yeah, if you've got kids and they're eating Aunt Bessie's on a Sunday. See, I was going to say, you need to have a word with your missus, but you're not even allowed to joke about that anymore, are you? You can't say that anymore. You can't say anything anymore. You're not allowed to joke. Oh, dear me, I was thinking the other day, you know, with that Delilah thing, you know, the rugby song, band and all that. Because it's, you know, what's glorifying violence. What's that? Are they going to ban Tom and Jerry next? I thought about it the other day, and I was like, you know, when he catches him and that, dear me. And that Roadrunner, meet me, it's just like, it's, you know, it's violent, isn't it? And if she serves you, I'm talking she, because I'm talking from a male perspective, right? If it's he, fine. If your partner in your life, if they serve up frozen chips as well, especially to your kids, you say, I think that's child cruelty, that. We ain't got time for lazy mums, have we, guys?